5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's made my kids sick. Definitely one of them, my husband.
Raising my own 4 children, potentially exposed to the same waste that I was exposed to as a child.
One word that comes to mind is I was completely devastated.
My mother died. Her brother, who was a physician, took me aside and said, Linda, I don't believe St. Louis is a
years of my life, I lived in, went to school in, or worked in the affected areas of North County.
During World War II, as global conflict intensified and nations raced for a technological advantage, the United States launched a secret Manhattan Project to develop the world's first nuclear weapons, recruiting people across the country. In St. Louis, Missouri, workers at the Mallinckrodt Chemical Works enriched the uranium needed for this effort. They handled highly radioactive materials with very limited protection, often unaware of the danger they faced.
Profoundly altered the conditions of man's life, both materially and in ways of the spirit as well.
When through no fault of their own, they have been exposed to nuclear radiation, nuclear waste, nuclear contamination in the soil, in the water, in the air.
It is reported that 8,700 tons of radioactive waste is in the Westlake landfill, 2,000 tons in Coldwater Creek, and 1,500 tons in Weldon Springs, Missouri. Although Mallinckrodt used 133,000 tons of radioactive material in the 40s, only making that a fraction of the waste produced.
Some uranium is definitely volatile, so it's possible that some of the uranium was converted into an atmospheric plume. If it's outside your body, there's less of a harm than if you ingest or breathe it in.
While the steps being taken are good, the contamination will never fully go away because of the uranium's half-life.
Consider what is it decaying into, and uranium unfortunately has a pretty long decay chain, and its half-life is 4.5 billion years, so you multiply that by 5, that's a lot of years.
The government took that nuclear waste, that radioactive material, and dumped it into a public landfill.
The government caused it, the government lied about it, and our message today is the government needs to clean it up.
And we gave the government more grace than it needed because we thought that they just didn't know. That's not true. They knew very early on that this was dangerous and it was hurting people.
Anybody who had been doing something prior before the regulation would be grandfathered or exempt up to that point. Until that point, what they were doing was okay. From now on, they have to do it this way.
The consent of the governed isn't just history. It shapes our community as we know it to be. But when thousands of people are exposed to extreme radiation, that right becomes void. People are no longer able to live normally. Studies show that those who lived within 1 kilometer of Coldwater Creek and Westlake were 85% more likely to contract cancer, specifically radiosensitive cancers, those which are believed to be caused by radiation.
If you look at a heat map for childhood diseases linked to nuclear toxins, to breast cancer rates and other forms of cancer, particularly in women, we have some of the highest rates in the nation.
You know, change only happens when enough people stand up and say, okay, we've had enough.
But a solution has been found. RECA, which stands for Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, a bill which passed in 1990 to provide compensation to those who have developed certain cancers and diseases as a result of radiation exposure. But just in July of 2025, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri passed RECA in the Missouri Senate, marking a multi-year fight for citizens to have access to RECA. RECA can provide upwards of $50,000 to those who have been affected in the Missouri area. But is that enough? Does it make up for all the loss felt?
At age 24, when pregnant with my first child, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
First of all, I think it was really handled the wrong way. The nuclear waste was disposed of unknowing to all the people.
My father was a special, loving man. No money can ever compensate for the loss of a loved one.
The current solutions for radioactive contamination are moving far too slowly and are insufficient to protect people from future health risks. At Westlake, the cleanup plan is the most advanced in terms of prevention. Yet even with excavation scheduled to begin in late 2027, that timeline is far too delayed for the residents living nearby. Coldwater Creek faces an even greater situation. Its remediation is not expected to be complete until 2037, a time frame completely out of reach for the average person, especially considering the creek stretches over 20 miles. At present, there is no truly effective solution for addressing contamination along the creek. Meanwhile, Weldon Spring, often overlooked, does have a plan, but there are no actionable steps in place to advance the removal of its remaining contamination, leaving the site in a state of limbo. Collectively, these delays highlight a disturbing lack of urgency in the protection of communities from ongoing radioactive risks.
So the question is, are the steps being taken enough to prevent future environmental disasters from happening? Have we even learned our lesson?